mutemo wedu wenyika uchitaura kuti munhu anobvumirwa 2 terms. It is saka they want to break that, or according to them, they are not breaking that. They are just extending, the time. So today, what we are going to do is advertised. We are going to be speaking to Senator Douglas Monzora. As you all know, he is a man who needs no introduction anyway. But we are going to be having a conversation, with him, and he's going to help us answer some of the questions, that we have. I'm joined by Chengetai. Chengetai, how are you doing? How are you?
I'm good, Gerard. How are you and how is everyone here?
I am good. Mkoma. I don't know kuti kwamuri koko kwakamira sei.
Well, not so good. An injury to one, an injury to all. As you've been saying, a lot of things are happening. And the sad thing is, those things, the bad things that happen to prominent people are the ones that get to be talked about. But there are many other people who are suffering at the hands of the ZANU government. And it's quite sad that at this point in time, in our country, many years after, almost close to half a century now after independence, the very independence that we fought for, to say we should free ourselves, our people, our kith and kin from oppression, sadly, we are now being oppressed even much worse by our very own kith and kin. It's quite sad. But these things are happening, Gerard, and I think, we should talk more about them, but not just talk. I think it's about time we should call to act. Everyone, set aside our differences and fight against this evil, against this regime. It's sad what happened to the security guard at Dr. Ibo Manda's Sapis Trust, and many other people who were affected because of that. But well, it is what it is, and I think a little less talking, there's need for more action.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I do share the same, sentiments, with you, right there. When you said that we need to set aside our differences, we need to be looking at this thing from one position, because it is something that is going to be affecting every one of us in Zimbabwe. It does not matter which political jacket you wear. It does not matter. This issue is an issue that is going to be affecting us as Zimbabweans, and it is quite important that we get to understand what we are dealing with here. And I believe, because if you are looking at the response that was given today by this administration, it is telling that they don't want anything to come in the way of this. I was speaking earlier on, and I was saying that this has been something that has been in the making. It's something that they sat down, wherever it is, they sat down and made a decision that they want to do this assault on the Zimbabwean people. And to achieve that, they needed to put certain pieces in place. And we all noticed and we all witnessed what they did with that opposition. I'm talking about, the Chabangu, coming in, and the language that Chabangu ended up, speaking. And as I was saying that, he told us, Kuti, that one is a done deal, for them. If it is using, the parliament, to play their game, that is a done deal, for them. And, therefore, when you're looking at all these things, we, the citizens, I think, we are the people, or we are the constituents that is left, and a constituents that can challenge whatever it is, that is going, that is going on, and or that is about, to be happening. So yes, I do share the same sentiments with you when you say it is time for us, the people, to come together. It is time to pull in one direction, and it is quite important that we begin to be seeing things, in that way. Right. So, right. I'm not sure. Um, yeah, but anyway, sorry. Sorry. I was a little bit, distracted. But okay. So what we are going to do, today is we'll engage with Senator Douglas Monzora, who is the MDC T president. Um, and we are going to engage, with him, and we are going to be engaging with him on the aspect of the constitution, because as I say, that for ZANU PF to achieve what they want to achieve, they have to play with the constitution. They have to amend that constitution, and there are certain sections of the constitution that are reportedly targeted, and then but there are other sections in that constitution that we have been told that they offer us safeguards. So it is those sections that will be mostly interested in, to find out that when Senator Douglas Monzora and his counterpart during the COPAC days, when they penned this thing, when they did put together this thing, did they leave any lacuna, as is being said? Saka ndo patiri kuda ipapo nguva chengetai palacuna apa vanhu vanoyazoziva kuti
I will leave that to him. I will not preempt on that. But that
yes.
question was asked by Professor Maduku on one of the engagements we had sometime early this year. The very same question you asked. So I will leave it to him to ask. But I was raising my hand because you need to bring him up. He's on now. You need to bring him up. I was also even saying to you that maybe you should make me co-host so that we can help each other to bring him up. He's here. He's already here listening. So you need to bring him up. He's sending a request for you to bring him up.
Or is it?
Yes.
And you are seeing him?
Uh, I was seeing him earlier on before I went out to send a message on your WhatsApp. So maybe you need to also help me look him up. But he's up.
Right. So okay,
He
can we just ask him, to make the request?
has done that. That's what he was telling me in the background. He's done that, and that's why I was also sending a message to you. Yeah.
All right. Let me see. Okay, I've given you the cost, position. So if you can accept that, and then I'm not sure why I'm not seeing him. I hope amuna vanhu ninge block. Inini ndini ndega ndomunzwa kubloka vanhu. Imambumizwe kubloka vanhu.
I challenge anyone anotaka blogwa panapa.
Ndini ndega ndinofanira kubloka vanhu inini. Ndinofanira ngobloka. Right. I am not seeing him. Senator, if you are hearing me, you can make the request, please, and then we'll bring you on. Usually, you should be right there at the top, with the others that requesting. Right, guys. If I can ask you to repost, this would be very much appreciated. If I ask you to repost this, it will be very much appreciated. And let's share with our friends, so that they will not miss this important conversation. It's quite important that we get to to we get to be here, with others, as we talk about this aspect of our this aspect which is troubling us, which is troubling some of us. Um, right. I still do not see him. Right. If I can ask him to completely come out of the space and then re-enter, hopefully, if there's anything that is maybe a glitch that is disturbing him, it will sort of rectify itself, and we'll be in a position to be seeing him as he make his request. So Chengetai, we've seen the sauna being extinguished. The Magetsi is saying, "I'm tired."
Ah, Mawan, it's just an indication of, of course, what we end up looking at all these petty things, so to say.
Mm,
However, some do not look at it as a petty thing, but why I'm saying petty is because my heart is sore for the bigger things that we are about to face. It's I'm taken aback by the fact that when we had time, I think we had ample time to really deal with this thing, but because of the polarity, because of the division, the hatred amongst ourselves, the accusations one against the other, they have taken a lot of our energy. And when I say our energy, I'm not talking about myself or ourselves as probably the MDC, no, but I'm talking about us as the opposition. That we could have probably dealt a very severe blow um, to this whole 2030 agenda. Because look at the discord it's causing even in ZANU-PF. So
mm.
imagine if it were that the opposition was also speaking with one voice and everyone fighting from one corner, only to that extent. And then we can always go back to our, bickering or whatever it is, because it's in the very nature of politics to not always agree anyway. But on this one, we just had to agree and fight. Um, let's also take a leaf from what ZANU-PF has done. You remember when they were fighting against Mugabe, they all came together on one side.
Mm.
Uh, but soon after they got rid of Robert, they went back to fighting the opposition. At least we should have learned from that, but I guess not.
Yeah, yeah, that is, that is true. I was looking at, our history, right? And I came across, I come across an article that spoke about, the attempt by ZANU PF back then when it was when it was Mugabe's time. Um, in 2006, they almost did the same thing with an amendment thing. Their conference in 2006, I think it was the ninth conference. If my memory serves me right, they wanted to do the same thing to amend the constitution so that Mugabe, instead of facing the election in 2008, um, you then face the election in 2010. So just the same, right? Just the same way. Yeah, I'm seeing Senator Monzola sending a message, right there. Just the same way as they were, right? Just the same way as they are trying, to. Let me see if I can search, for his name and then send him a request. Um, so just the same way as they are trying um to change this constitution. They wanted to do it, back then, but they did not manage to get that through. I understand Mugabe faced opposition from within his political party. The Joyce Mujurus at the time, they were not in favor of that, in the Simbamakoni, they were not in favor, of that. And we ended up having, the election in 2017. I mean, in 2000 2008, and we all know what happened in that, election. So, when I was looking at that and, and then making a comparison with where we are, today, I understand that, the circumstances are now kind of different. That if you make a comparison, back then, the MDC was at its strongest, even though it had come out of a split. It was at its strongest, and there was also this threat of Boram Sango coming from ZANU PF, etc., which is what which is what ended up happening anyway. But the showing by the opposition, back then, it was so strong, and together with the opposition that was coming from within, ZANU PF, they did not manage to get what they needed to do at that particular moment in time. But it seems as if now, fast forward to today, it seems as if the circumstances or the environment, rather, the environment is sort of changed. And when it comes to our opposition politics, we all know where we are with opposition. You are a member of the opposition, you yourself, Chengetai, and watching you guys trying, with your effort in rebuilding the MDCT, and where you are at the present moment. You are outside of Parliament, but in Parliament, we've got legislators that came from the opposition, and we know what happened, to that outfit. And now we are being told that there are three factions, in there, sitting in Parliament. One that belongs to Chabangu, the other one that belongs to the Ngule faction, and then the other one that is under the leadership of James Timber. And with that fragmentation, if a bill comes through, already that arena is an arena that ZANU PF is commandeered, is Master would want, to put it, using the word commandeered. So that arena, is gone. So it is now left, to the citizens, and it is now left to the opposition leaders, and other leaders in the community, and the citizens, majorly the citizens, to take a stand and push back against this. So hopefully, in the discussion, tonight, we are going to get to be equipped, one, with the knowledge um, of what assault they can do on the constitution, and how best we can push back as a people, to say that we will not accept this, we will not allow this. So it is my hope that by the end of this session, tonight, folks will be having the knowledge, and also be having the answers to some of the burning questions that they might be having. Chengetai, I see Senator has commented in there. You sent her a message in this space here, but I'm not seeing him. If I search, for his name, I am not seeing him for some weird reason. I don't know, I don't know what is going on here. Um, he's saying
Yeah,
that he's saying that he's ready, but I can't see him.
yeah. I've asked him to because I was also earlier on. I actually saw him before I became co-host. But then I'm not seeing him, so I asked him to go out and come back. And if that um,
Have you
goes,
guys not blocked each other?
uh, I've asked him to change the gadget, to use another gadget and not
Oh
that
yes,
one. Yeah,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I
Let's
think that's
see. Yeah,
now.
let's see
Yeah,
if that works. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Let's see if that works. Mofutatas, hey, Pachipamwe, how you doing?
Pachipamwe Nyamasha, how are you doing?
No, 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 no. We are good. No, we are good.
Awesome. Tauya tinzwe ana muzivo vanyori vebumbiro remutemo kuti vangabatsira here pano.
Yeah, those what I don't think, guys. I was saying, Gudizo, 100 years from now.
Mm.
The last time I was saying, 100 years from now, vana vedu vanenge vakuti our founding fathers, yeah, when they wrote, this constitution,
Oh yes.
they did put some safeguards to make sure that,
Ah,
vanenge vakatoipa,
mazita anenge achitobuda ipapo. Senator
yeah.
vava neaccount yavo here kana kuti because havasi kuoneka, ndambovatarisa ndiri pasapa but handisi kuvaona zuva.
Andere mirai tione kuti izovapinda here nerimwe nhingi gadget, tione kuti tinokwanisa here kuvabata.
Chengetai, how are you doing?
I am doing great. Titus. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Thank you.
Hamusi mese here chengetai ipa. Hamusi padhuze nawo.
Tanga tiri pane zvaungambondikumbira zviya zvimwe zvacho handichataura sebva ndazaita bo. Saka my assumption was like we're good to go. Because I also had to, because I know kuti station unonoke kupera manje. Saka indenda kuzobva ikoko kumanje ningama.
Oh, yeah, anenge amakwikwi zveshuwa.
So ungoitawo rukumba.
Inenge yabarira mhanya zveshuwa.
Yeah, sure.
No, yeah, I hope Kutizo, it comes through. Let me try to refresh, this thing on my side and see if it helps. But I mean, I'm just trying to do something. Right. So I'm going to be out, in this. I'm going to be out of the space for about a minute or so. But for about 30 seconds or so. But I'll come back.
All right, as long as Magasa donates a space, I will
No.
good.
No, I don't.
Okay. No, that's fine. Greetings to everybody on the platform. Thank you guys for keeping on having this important conversation. I was in a space earlier on, the space that was happening with Uncle Jet, but I was working at the time, so I couldn't contribute. But some very, very interesting contributions that we are having from folks of, coming from different walks of life. And I think it is important now that, we are speaking the same kind of language. Coming together as Zimbabweans, I think that's the most important thing, and stopping all this nonsense that's happening is going to take us to, to accept that we can be different, but I think we want the same thing. And at the end of the day, I think when the masses come together, we are so powerful. I mean, when people come together, there's so much power that we can do. There's so much change that we can. So it is my hope and anticipation that, at the end of the day, this won't be about names or about who is doing what or about what, but it is just the people coming together and saying, no, we cannot have our constitution, we can't just watch and see our constitution being shredded into pieces willy-nilly. So it will be interesting to see, to hear what we say, what Senator says, and what the other people say. There was a young man earlier on. I couldn't come in, but I think he was talking like a revolutionary. I don't know. He sounded like a young man to me, and he was basically speaking to the youth. Talking about how when you get these things, you are not being empowered. He was talking about if somebody was to come and ask you, Dad, if you are dead, that is, how did you manage to get your wealth? And you are not able to give a blueprint, or you're not able to give, to tell your little ones, if you want to get wealth, you can do A, B, C, D. Because you have just done something so silly, you've done a skit, you've done, not having a go at people who are comedians, or not people who are, but it is just that, this narrative of saying people, can get something simply because simply because they have done something that, if that car was to be taken away, or if that wealth was to come to an end. Uncle, are we back with the Senator?
No, I'm trying to message him.
All right.
Yeah, so I don't know now, because I was saying, is he listening incognito? Oh yeah, he's here. Yes. Oh, brilliant! I've seen him. Yes, Senator. Yes, Senator Monzora. I've sent you a request. I've seen him now. Yeah, I've seen him. Yeah, I've seen him now. Yeah, I've seen him. Right, I've sent him a request. So Senator Monzola, I have sent you a request. If you can please respond to that invite that I've sent you, you come on straight onto the platform and as a speaker. All right. So yeah, let me wait for him to respond to that. Yeah, he's still with us. Um, right. I've invited him to speak. So if you can please respond to that to the invite, it will be very much appreciated. Or if you can request yourself as well, it will be very much appreciated. I think yeah. But just responding to the invite is it will be quick and easy for him to come through. Right. Yeah, Bagaipa.
Quickly. Yeah, so while Senate is coming up, I was just talking about earlier on somebody who was talking about a blueprint of getting wealth and saying Mangwana Wajazoti, if that wealth is taken away, how can your life will never be the same because you don't know how to actually get it. So it was interesting to hear some young people, with their different mentality. And I wish, that some of these words, some of this thought process can be sent to our young people back home.
Yeah, that is true. Right. Yeah, I see. Yeah, Senator Monzora, I see you. You're still, in the space. Please, if you can respond to the request or to the invite that I've sent to you, or if you can make a request, yourself, we'll be in a position to bring you on as a speaker, or bring you into the speaker forum, and we can begin, this conversation. Our time is now 17:33, ladies and gentlemen, and we are hoping to start, the conversation in earnest. We're just waiting for Senator Douglas Monzora to respond to the request that we've sent, to him, or for him, to send us a request, and we'll be in a position to be responding, to that, and then we can get started and get into this, conversation. When I was looking at some of the videos, I see Prince, he did put out, a video of what was going on, in Bulawayo. And there were folks, that were masquerading as security forces. And you could actually tell that, there's no security officer in here. And according, to what, they put out to say, these are some, ZANU PF, overzealous, people that acting as security people, etc., etc. And, it just goes on to tell you and to show you what these people are prepared, to do to make sure that they get things to go, their way. But let's see, where this, takes us. Let's see, what happens. But I think, tonight's session is going to be very important, especially in understanding, this constitution. When we tried, to do it, I know people were saying, why don't we get somebody who's knowledgeable, or somebody, who's a lawyer, or etc, etc. But we have done one better. We have actually, said, okay, let us go for the author, the one, responsible for putting, this thing, together, and let us, speak to them, and hopefully they'll give us an opportunity to have an understanding of this constitution in as far as this aspect, is concerned, because we want to then understand more on the safeguard that they did put in in there, and yet we are being told that there's a lacuna as well in there. So is it a matter Kuti they did not the safeguard that they did put in place, or was it not watertight in terms of preventing what is about to be happening, or it is just some overzealous lawyers in brackets who want to put up a position that is non-existent when it comes to how the 2-year period to extend Emerson Mnangagwa's term is going to be affected, and also wanting to find out more as well in terms of this term limit versus term length conversation that hogged social media in the past few days. And it would be interesting if we can get an understanding of some of the reasoning or the opinions that were being put forward by some lawyers, and the counter the counter pushbacks that were also being put forward by some lawyers. So I'm hoping to delve more into that, and I'm hoping that Senator Douglas Manzora will help us unpack some of these things that were being spoken of by these lawyers, as we all witnessed on social media. So, Senator Manzora, I'm still waiting for you. Let me see if, because I think I might have to resort to plan B, and that plan B might be, but I needed to I needed to have uh, maybe I might have to resort to plan B. Um, but I needed to have him right in this space. Um, because for the sake of time, you see, because right now we're almost approaching 8 p.m. in Zimbabwe, and 6 p.m. right here. My time, I'm okay with my time, but it will be his time that I am kind of worried about. So I'm hoping that oh yes, he's here now. Oh, brilliant. Whew. I hope Owen Chari waita kama na matoka yangu keke.
Hello. Hello,
Hello.
gentlemen.
Yes, hello, Senator. How are you?
I am okay. I hope you can hear me. I have yet to change gadgets.
Oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, you are coming through, loud and clear.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes, you're coming through loud and clear. Yeah, so you know what, without wasting much time, I think we can go into this conversation. We're supposed to start at 7, and you did your best to make yourself available, but it's only that these technical problems are the ones that were delaying the process. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Senator Douglas Manzora. Is a man that does not need any introduction. Most of us, we know who Senator Douglas Manzora is. President of the MDCT. He was a former senator. And when it comes to the Constitution, is what is. Did you used to call yourselves what term did you used to call yourselves? Senator, when you and Paul Mangwana, were you the chairman of the COPAC thing,
The co-chairs.
or the co-chairs? Yes,
Yes.
yes. So the co-chair of the COPAC responsible for this constitution that we had. So I mean, um, I don't want to use this space to go into history pertaining to who Senator Douglas Monzora is. We have come to know who he is, but we want to focus on the matter at hand. And so, Senator, if I can give you this opportunity to just greet our listeners, and then we can get into it.
Yeah, greetings to all of the Zimbabweans who are listening on this space. And my apologies, I could not connect with you earlier, although I was trying. I was hearing everything and seeing everything, but for some reason you were not seeing me. So we are again at this point in our in the history of our country where we have to deal with a man-made problem. the ZANU-PF Congress in 2000 in Mutare came up with what they call resolution number 1, which is the resolution to extend the term of office of President Mnangagwa and to direct the Minister of Justice, Mr. Ziyambi, to facilitate that. What is very, very clear is that Zimbabweans are opposed to the extension of term. What is also clear is that there are a lot of arguments regarding this issue that don't make sense at all. And with all due respect to the lawyers concerned, some of them are not reading the Constitution the way they should do. When you are reading the Constitution, you read it as one document. You read it as a whole. So there is the text of the Constitution. There is also what is called the spirit of the Constitution. And then there is what is called the intention of the lawmakers. And today I want to deal with the debate that has been happening between, I think, Advocate Tabani Mpofu and Mr. Tawanda Nyambirai.
Nyambirai, yes.
Mr. Nyambirai is arguing that, in fact, it is possible to amend the Constitution without going to referendum. So I want to deal with that. And I'm sorry, I may sound boring because it's going to be quite a lot of law. But let me start with Section 90 of the Constitution. Section 90 of the Constitution, subsection 1, gives the president the duty to uphold, defend, obey, and respect the Constitution as the supreme law of the land. And he must ensure that the Constitution and other laws are faithfully enforced. So the duty of our state president is to uphold and defend the Constitution. And then you go to Section 91, subsection 1. It says, it gives the disqualifications of a person from holding the office of president. And it says a person is disqualified from contesting the office of president if he has served 2 terms, whether continuous or not. So the moment you have served 2 terms, you are disqualified from standing as president. That's the term limit. So that is part 2 of the Constitution, very, very clear. So many lawyers are making a mistake on just relying on part 2 of the Constitution. And I must give a background. Both Mangwana, myself, and the drafters were wary of ZANU-PF rejecting the term limit and therefore wanting to see whether there was a lacuna or not. So we then took the amendment to the Constitution to...
Senator, can you explain to folks, they might not understand what a lacuna is. Can you briefly explain that, please? Senator Monzora. Right, Moff, is he speaking?
No, it's gone quiet.
I
know.
I can hear you now.
All right, okay. So I was saying, can you briefly explain to us what a lacuna is? Because some folks, they might not understand what that is.
Oh, thank you very much. A lacuna is a gap in the law. It is an omission in the law. So the various scholars, various lawyers were then saying that there is a gap in the law, there is an omission in the law. And the omission, the law does not say, the Constitution does not say that there is need for a referendum. I just want to explain how wrong they are. So in order to hide this clause, we put it in chapter 18. Chapter 18 is section 328, subsection 1. And if you go to 328, subsection 1, it starts with a definition. And the definition is on term limit. And then it says, what is a term limit provision? And it says a term limit provisions means a provision of this constitution which limits the length of time that a person may hold public office. So we define the term limit. And then if you go to section 328, subsection 2, it says that once there is a constitution bill, the speaker must give the nation 90 days notice. And then if we go to section, to the same section, the people of Zimbabwe through public hearings must comment on the bill, must be given the opportunity to comment on the bill. And then after that, Parliament must vote by 2/3 majority of both the Senate and the National Assembly to okay the Constitution amendment. In other words, the Parliament must sit and say, we agree with this. The logic of that was that you could still stop the constitutional amendment at Parliament level by making sure that those who want the amendment do not score 2/3 majority. Then after that, we go to subsection 6. Subsection 6 says, where the amendment seeks to amend chapter 4 deals with the human rights, or chapter 16, which deals with land, then there is need for a referendum. Then it goes on to say in subsection 7 that if the amendment is for extension of term, that extension shall not benefit the incumbent. So if you are amending the constitution to extend a term limit, then that amendment shall not benefit the incumbent. It's very, very clear. And then it goes on to say that if there is an amendment, that is subsection 8, and that amendment involves, I'm summarizing, the extension of term and then the benefit by the incumbent, then there must be 2 referendums. And it is very, very clear that it is referring to 2 referendums. One referendum is for extension of term. The other referendum, of course, is for the benefit of the incumbent. And then, importantly, it says in subsection 9, this section is may be amended only by following the procedures set out in subsection 3, 4, 5, 6, as if this were in chapter 4. Now, I need to explain there. It is saying that to amend this section, you must take all the procedures that are contained in section 328 as if they were chapter 4. Now, our constitution is very, very clear that if you want to amend the Bill of Rights, you go to referendum. Now, by saying that when you amend this constitution, this part of the constitution, you amend it as if it was chapter 4. You amend it as if it was a Bill of Rights thing. and therefore you go for referendum. This is where the lawyers are losing it. That is why we made reference to Chapter 4. Chapter 4 is amendable only in terms of a referendum. Then we imported that to say when amending this section, you amend it the same way you amend Chapter 4. And Chapter 4 is amended via the referendum. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there is another argument that the lawyers are losing in their debate, and that is that any extension of term violates human rights. They violate Section 67 of the Constitution. And Section 67 of the Constitution, subsection 1, gives Zimbabweans the right to elect office bearers and gives them the right to elect as provided in the Constitution. Now, this Constitution that we have gives Zimbabweans the right to elect leaders after every 5 years, including the president. Now, if you are to extend the term of office of president by 2 years, you have deprived the Zimbabweans the right, their constitutional right, to elect a leader for those 2 years or for those 5 years by simply making an amendment. So you have violated the right of Zimbabweans to elect, and therefore you have amended Chapter 4 of the Constitution. And when you amend Chapter 4 of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, you ought to go to referendum. Then secondly, under Section 67, which is in the Bill of Rights, it is said every Zimbabwean has the right to be elected to public office in terms of this Constitution. So a presidential hopeful has the right to participate in the presidential election. So take example of Mr. Manzora. He is eyeing to contest in 2028, and he has the right to contest in 2028. If you then say that we are deferring that right, we are deferring the election by another 2 years, you have deprived Mr. Manzora of his constitutional right. You have amended the Bill of Rights. And when you seek to amend the Bill of Rights, for whatever reason, you go to referendum. There is absolutely no question about it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to take you a bit back again. Chinamasa, during the ZANU-PF conference last year, made it clear that there will be 2 referendums. He made it clear in a press, in a submission to his party, and it was televised. He knew that there was Section 328. He knew that in order to amend Section 328, you amend it in the same manner that you amend the Bill of Rights. And he knew that the Bill of Rights can only be amended via a referendum. So in the case of President Mnangagwa, we will have to have 2 constitutional amendments. The first constitutional amendment will be one to extend the presidential term. It does not mention anybody's name. It simply says in the referendum question, because a referendum is an answer to questions. So there is a referendum question, and the referendum question will simply be, should the president's term be amended to be extended by a further 2 years or not? Zimbabwe then vote yes or no. That's referendum number 1. Then there is need again to amend the subsection 7, which says the amendment, even if it is made, cannot benefit the incumbent. And you need to amend that again. You cannot, in terms of subsection 9, make the same the 2 amendments in one constitutional bill. So you will have to have a second constitutional bill, which is now person specific. Should Emerson Mnangagwa benefit from the extension of term, yes or no? So there will be two referendums, two processes. And in fact, there will be the first, which deals with the speaker giving 90 days notice, and then the second being people of Zimbabwe accepting or rejecting during a public outreach. And then there will be 2/3 majority to be attained in parliament, and then there will be a referendum. The first referendum, as I said, to extend the term of office. The second referendum, again, the second amendment, will have to have 90 days notice by the speaker to the people of Zimbabwe, followed by an outreach, Zimbabweans commenting whether they accept or not. Then in number 3, Zimbabweans attaining a 2/3 majority in parliament. By parliament, I mean both houses, the Senate and the National Assembly. And then after that, subjecting that constitutional amendment voted for by parliament to public assent via a referendum. So I fail to understand where the confusion is emanating from. Once you accept that for you to amend the Bill of Rights, you have to amend via referendum, you ought to understand the clause that says that this section shall be amended the same way as you amend the Bill of Rights, i.e. via a referendum. Now, the people of Zimbabwe, of course, are almost unanimous, especially within the opposition, to reject this. The MDC was the first to have the press conference in January this year, followed by a press conference that we did a few days ago. And quite a number of voices within the opposition were silent. Maybe people did not take seriously that seriously. That ZANU-PF was determined to amend the constitution. And we are heartened to notice that there are a number of people coming up speaking against this amendment. We welcome that. But there is one important thing. We must never exclude one another when we deal with these things. And it is incumbent upon Zimbabweans to bury the petty political differences and speak with one voice. And therefore, it would have been very good for SAPES to include myself, to include Dr. Maduku, to include Welshman Ngube. These are people who, in one way or the other, who were involved in the crafting of the constitution. I was the co-chair, and I was one of the people who authored this clause, and who then said this clause must be hidden away from Mugabe and some of his people. And Welshman Ngube, of course, was sitting in the management committee of COPAC together with Tendai and Elton Mangoma and Nicholas Goche, Patrick Chinamasa. And on the final day, Emerson Mnangagwa himself, he okayed this constitution as the Secretary for Legal Affairs of ZANU-PF. We took him, and on that day, it was me presenting. I took him through all the provisions, including this provision, and he agreed with it. And we are surprised. You know, on that day, actually, I was seated opposite him, and he was listening to me together. He was also going through his copy of the draft constitution. So there is no question about it that there ought to be referendum. But Zimbabweans must expect ZANU-PF to try to avoid the referendum. This is because half of ZANU-PF, if not 3/4, will vote against the amendment. That is clear from the reaction of ZANU-PF people. And then also the opposition, the civil society are unanimous on the rejection of this constitution amendment. But most importantly, to people who are patriots, to people who love their country, this constitution amendment does damage to our reputation before the international community. It brings us to the fore as a pariah state, as an international joke, as an international laughing stock. That's number one, and we don't deserve that. Mnangagwa must not put me, as Douglas Monzora, as a citizen of this country, through that shame. We don't deserve it. He must not put you through that shame and through that ignominy. So the international ignominy that we'll go through is unfathomable, unbelievable. That's number one. Number two, we all know now that the Commonwealth is considering Zimbabwe's rejoining the club. And it is fundamentally important for our people that we should rejoin the Commonwealth. Number one, ease of travel, development grants, the Commonwealth market, access to credit, support for our athletes, and scholarships for our students. So the benefits are unfathomable, and we should rejoin the Commonwealth. But the Commonwealth has put a condition that we must not tamper with our constitution. Now, President Mnangagwa, for the sake of power and for the sake of I don't know, wants to throw away all of that, all those benefits for Zimbabwe, for the sake of the 2 years that he is seeking. And why is he seeking those 2 years? Why is it fundamentally important that he should do that? He has been in government since Zimbabwe attained independence. And there is nothing new that he is going to do. But we have an explanation on why President Mnangagwa is advocating for the third term. This is because President Mnangagwa is no longer that one man that you see on television. That's not President Mnangagwa anymore. President Mnangagwa is now a group of people, is a group of rich, corrupt people who are siphoning the wealth of this country and who are trading our wealth with other nations, and they are making a killing. These are the people who are now within the decision-making matrix of the president. Just like in the last days, President Mugabe was no longer that, excuse my word, that small man that you used to see. President Mugabe was now a group of people. So when we are fighting against the amendment, we are not fighting against one person. It is a group of people who are running the affairs of the country. It is a group of people who have captured the state. That is why we in the MDC, when attacking this problem, we say we are fighting state capture. We are fighting state corruption, international corruption even. We are fighting the privilege that now is exclusively for Chinese nationals. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't have our Boterekwa anymore. For you who are in the diaspora, who last came to Zimbabwe and visited Chirugwi, Boterekwa is no more. It's not there anymore. It has been desecrated by people who are taking mineral wealth in its raw form and exporting it to develop other countries. For those of us who still remember the Christmas past, it is being desecrated day in, day out. For those of us who have once visited Dowendale, Dowendale is now a land of dangerous pits. They mine the chrome and they do not reclaim the land. They do not rehabilitate the land. They just take the chrome, put it in its raw form on the trucks all the way to Beira or Mombasa. So, ladies and gentlemen, this constitution amendment is extremely dangerous and we must not allow it. And in fighting this constitution amendment, it is important that we rely on each other's collective wisdom. We must not allow civil society to divide the political parties by preferring other people at the expense of others. That is a very, very wrong. It's a wrong approach. And it will just split the opposition to the third term. So it is my hope that we are going to speak with one voice. Speaking of my party, it has already started the campaign for against the 2030 agenda, and we are rolling out pamphlets. I think we start tomorrow. We have some regalia that we have prepared to conscientize people to say no to the 2030 agenda. And over the weekend, we are launching this opposition to the 2030 agenda in Chiwenga at one of the places. Yes, it is important to have press conferences, incredibly important. But what is important is to educate the Zimbabwean common men and women on why we are fighting this 2030, on why this 2030 is an affront to their rights, and how it is going to be a violation of their rights. So it is a violation of Section 67, and therefore it is a violation of the Bill of Rights. Amendment to it means that you are amending the Bill of Rights. At any rate, when you amend this section, you amend it in the same manner that you amend the Bill of Rights. I hope I have answered my learned colleagues within the legal fraternity regarding whether there will be a referendum or not. If this amendment has to have any form of legality, it will have to go via referendum. And there are so many safeguards. The 90-day period, voting in parliament, I just hope that our MPs, especially those in the opposition, are going to vote like opposition MPs. Because if they do, then it is impossible for ZANU-PF to obtain a 2/3 majority. ZANU-PF has a 2/3 majority in the National Assembly only. In the Senate, ZANU-PF does not command a 2/3 majority. So it is possible, using the current MPs from the opposition, to block this at parliamentary level by simply having opposition MPs, especially in the Senate, voting against this amendment. If they do that, ZANU-PF will not attain a 2/3 majority. So it has a 2/3 majority in the National Assembly, but it does not have a 2/3 majority in the Senate. So it is possible. But assuming that the MPs or MPs want an end 2 years or 5 years, then the last bastion of defense is the people of Zimbabwe, acting as a collective. And I want to end here by calling for unity of all progressive forces in Zimbabwe, those in the opposition, those in civil society. We must just work together. We must never segregate one another. So I want to thank you, and I would be happy to hear any questions. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you very much, Senator, for that, the explanation, that you've given. I have one question, though. There's this aspect. I know you've explained, the why we need a 2/3, why a referendum is a must. But there's this aspect now that I have seen being, floated on social media. The aspect of term limit versus time limit. And the argument is what they are looking at doing is not a term limit extension, but it is a time limit extension. And there is a case of Mupungu versus the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, and 6 others, which they are relying on. I'm talking in terms of the people who are saying we don't need a referendum for this because we are only extending the length of the time. And in the constitution, in our constitution, there is a provision for that. And there is case law that supports that. And this case law is the Mupungu versus the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs. Can you talk to us about that? Why that authority does not work, in this instance here?
Yes, first of all, I'm not so sure about the Mpungu case, what he was challenging, but when you read the case heading, he was challenging the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs. He was not challenging the President. So that's the
Right.
one main difference of this matter. Secondly, the challenge will come when the actual amendment is done. That is when the Minister of Parliamentary Legal Affairs brings a bill to Parliament, and the process that I have talked about starts to unfold. Now, there is one principle in law, if I may bore you with more law, and it's simple, a principle of interpretation. The primary rule of interpretation is the literal rule. In the literal rule, we look at the grammatic meaning of the words that are used in a legal instrument, in a statute, in a law. And if the literal meaning makes sense, we end there. So if you go, I want to read to you 328. If you could just bear with me. Just want to read to you. Sorry. Yeah. I want to read to you subsection 7 of the Constitution. Notwithstanding any other provision in this section, an amendment to term limit provision, the effect of which is to extend the length of time that a person may hold public office. So the Constitution talks of the length of time. So if the amendment is to extend the length of time, then the incumbent shall not benefit. There was a reason why we used that, and we did not use a term. We used length of time to avoid exactly what is happening. So there are 2 ways of extending the length of time. One is to add another term. And this is what they are arguing, that we are not adding another term. But the other one is simply to lengthen the number of years. So if you are changing from 5 years to 7 years, you are lengthening the time. So the answer, Uncle Gerald, lies in the wording. The wording is lengthening the term that the person shall hold office. It is not talking to extending term limits. No, it is talking about lengthening the time. And this is the wording that we used in the statute. And we used it very, very advisedly because we envisaged such a situation where people will say the term of the president is now 7 years. He is still in his second term. That's Jonathan Moyo now. He is still in his second term, so there is no extension of term. That's not what the law says. The law says lengthening the time, the time that the person holds public office. So simply applying the literal rule, changing from 7 to 8, from 6 to 7, from 5 to 7, or from 5 to 10, from 5 to 10, that is still lengthening the period. So it is very clear that it will not benefit the incumbent. But you will get these technicalities from people, sometimes lawyers who want to be relevant. And lawyers sometimes find an opportunity that maybe when the case comes, they may be favored with instructions. And therefore, some of what you see is canvassing for work. People know that ZANU-PF is determined, it want lawyers, and the people are beginning to tout for work. And it is really a real shame. I'm really sorry to use that term to my learned friends, but there is national responsibility here. There is a national ignominy here. There is a document that we need to defend. There is a future. There are future generations that we must think about. Because if we allow this amendment, there is what is called precedent. If we allow this amendment, so this year we have allowed an amendment by 2 years. Then the next time when Chiwenga Backfires is president, he then says, no, let's amend that to president for life. And then after that, when Ango Jelly comes in, he says, no, there is no need of limiting it to the life of the current president. The presidency shall be held by his family. There is now need to create a Munomutapa kingdom. So there is no stop once we start. So we need to nip it in the bud. We need to kill this horrible idea in its infancy. And we have a national responsibility. And those who have knowledge of law must put their knowledge to the benefit, to the use of the benefit of the people of Zimbabwe. Now, I have said that in reading the Constitution, people must not read it piecemeal. They must read the entire document. They must read section 3 of the Constitution. That talks about the national values, the aspirational provisions. What do Zimbabweans aspire to have? Democracy, limited term of the office of the rulers. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, in order to incentivize presidents, we put in a clause that a former president shall be remunerated on the same rate as the serving president. So if President Mnangagwa lives in 2028, he will earn the same salary as the new President Monzora. And so what is he going to really lose? So there is more to it than meets the eye then. Why is the president allowing all of this? Why is ZANU-PF allowing itself to even risk its international image, its admission to the Commonwealth? Zimbabwe's admission to the Commonwealth is being put under risk because of a mere 2 years. What's so magical about these 2 years?
Interesting. My last question, before I open it up, to the others. There's a document that went into circulation, calling, the BBI. I don't know if you came across it. And in that document is said to have been, written by one Glenn Panley or something like that, and then Professor Jonathan Moyo is being said to have contributed to that, document. And in that document, what is being proposed, what is being proposed is that the only amendment that needs to happen is a repeal of Section 92 of the Constitution. And when they've repealed Section 92 of the Constitution, it then allows the tenure of Emmerson Mnangagwa to come to an end, as soon as the 22nd of December 2025. And when that happens, the electing of the president, I don't know which section they would then enforce to say that the election of the president will be done through, parliament. And then they are speaking of a dimming, provision, which says that by the act of parliament or by the selection of parliament, Emerson Mnangagwa is deemed to have been elected for a new 5-year term that commences in December 2025 and ends in December 2030, thereby giving him a new, fresh 5-year term. But the period that he has served now, from 2023 to this period, where if this is enacted or if this is made possible, he would have served just 2 years and 3 months. And they are saying that a full term starts from 3 years, and anyone who serves below the full term or below the 3 years, that time period that they've served is not considered as a full term. And that is being put out there as a possible route to achieving the 2030 agenda. Help me understand, Senator Monzora, if this even make any sense. Is this even possible that we can be, that scenario can happen, and Emerson Mnangagwa via that route whereby they only deal with Section 92, repeal Section 92, and then that then means that if they repeal that, the time period is shortened. The one that you would have served now, it comes to an end. And according to the Section 91, subsection 2, which speaks of a full term being more than 3 years, this will not even affect him, and there won't be any need for a referendum, to be undertaken. Is this something that is plausible?
I'm sorry to say, it is very stupid. It is very, very awkward reasoning indeed. And let me just, for the benefit of our listeners, let me just read Section 92. Section 92 says the election of a president and 2 vice presidents must take place within the period specified in Section 158. And then that is the period where they say after every 5 years. Then every candidate must choose a running mate. That was repealed. And then the qualifications for registration of a voter and voting at an election of a president and vice president are set out in the 4th schedule. Then the election of president and vice president must take place concurrently with every general election of member of parliament, provincial councils, and authorities. Now, if you remove that, how does this then enable the president to serve more than he is entitled to serve? It does not make sense. And by the way, if you repeal one section and leave other sections, then those 8 sections are not repealed. And repealing Section 92 is not repealing Section 158, which sets the period within which elections must be done. It does not remove Section 128, which says if the effect of an amendment is to lengthen the term of office or the length of holding office, then you need a referendum. It does not remove that. So those who are advocating for that in the so-called BBI document are real. It was really written by amateurs, I should say, or people who thought that they could pull a fast one. There is absolutely no sense in that. Section 328 exists, and it has a self-preservation clause. And it says this section 328 seeks to protect how amendments can be done. And then it protects itself from being amended. and it has to be amended in the same way that you amended the Bill of Rights. Now, term of office of president, again, they are making a mistake. And the term of office of president is whether you have served 10 years, whether continuously or not. So if you serve 5 years and then you serve 2 years, you have served as president for 7 years. You have, however, served 1 term, but you have served for 7 years. Now, if you then add some more 5 years, you have served for 12 years. And the Constitution says you can serve a maximum of 10, whether continuously or not. So the so-called BBI document does not make sense. It's an attempt to confuse Zimbabweans. I don't know who the authors were, but they were very, very poor in their interpretation of the Constitution. There is absolutely no way that you can amend this Constitution to provide for a term limit extension and still benefit President Emerson Mnangagwa. Absolutely no way that it can be done legally. Now, people will talk about this Mupungu what case, creation of precedent. The situation is different, and I think when it comes to the issue affecting the president, the Constitutional Court will have to sit, and it is the right to overrule itself if ever we go to litigation. But the aim is not even go to litigation. It is to mobilize Zimbabweans into rejecting this international ignominy, international abomination. So the document, Angle G, does not make sense. And I'm sorry to use bad language against my learned friends or whoever the authors are, but they wrote something really, really stupid.
Right. Another point, another point of contention or another point of discussion that was put, out there is the one that speaks of explicitity in terms of the duration. The argument propagated by Nyambirai was to say, in your wisdom, as the writers of this constitution, you were not explicit in terms of the term that the president serves. And there is an argument that says if you wanted it to be a 5-year term, then Section 95 should have been explicit, should have been clear to say that a president serves 5 years. And he's arguing that Section 95 does not speak to a clear and explicit 5-year term period. Is Section 95 watertight on that aspect?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mr. Nyambira wanted us to say the president must serve 5 years and then another 5 years. No, we were not amateurs. We said the president is disqualified if he has served a period of 10 years, whether continuous or not. What's not clear about that? 10 years is 2 terms. Now, there is a reason, Angle G, why we did not continue to use term. Because we knew there would be people who want to, like what Putin did sometime in Russia, to say he resigns as president, becomes prime minister, then comes back. Our constitution was written after that, and we had that as an example, and we wanted to avoid that. So Mr. Nyambirai wants us to say the president must serve a period of 5 years, and after that must serve another 5 years. That's not how we, in our wisdom, thought of writing it. We thought of writing it as saying if you have saved a period of more than of 10 years, whether continuously or in dribs and drabs, you are no longer qualified to stand for president. Now, I have also seen another argument that Mr. Nyambirai and company, very, in my respect of view surprising of Mr. Nyambirai. I have known him as a very astute legal practitioner indeed, and he has an impressive academic record. I don't know what is wrong with him in this particular manner. There is an argument where we said, except otherwise provided in this constitution.
Oh, yes.
And then they looked at that to say it's permissive of an extension. Now, Uncle G and company, I'm sure you've come across in the constitution where we said there can be a vote of no confidence in the president. There can be an impeachment of the president. Now, if the president is impeached in the third year, it means that his presidency ends. So he has been president, his term has been cut to 3 years. That's why what the otherwise means, to avoid a situation where a president who has been impeached says, like Shylock, for a pound of flesh, says, but you have impeached me, but the constitution says my term is 5 years. That's number one. Number two, you have come across provisions in the constitution that may lead to elections being deferred. That is when a country is in a state of war, or when you have a state of emergency that has happened, or in a period of natural disaster. For example, in a period of COVID, for example, where you have COVID and you have so much strict rules, and the Public Health Act comes in, because they say public health overrides everything. So you may end up with a president going for more than 10 years. This is the otherwise provided for in this constitution. It is specific in the constitution, the instances we are talking about. So I don't know why they are misreading that, but it is very clear if you read it with all other provisions. So what Mr. Nyambirai and company must do is to go to the constitution and look at the clauses that naturally limit a president's term to less than 5 years. That is if he is impeached, or if he is infirm. He suffers health problems. You have to remove him. Or if there is a public emergency, there is disease, there is famine, there is an extreme emergency. These are extreme cases, and they are spelled out in the constitution. It's loud and clear.
Right. You know what? My last questions are going to be, okay, guys. I promise this is my last question. Last. But there's a school of thought out there, yeah, which is saying that the explanations like the ones that you've given today, in terms of pushing back against what the likes of Nyambirai have said, are like a fishing expedition by the regime to then want to try and understand where a legal challenge might emanate from, and by publicly talking about this, they are somewhat or somehow being armed, with or being given the ammunition for them to then respond or push back against a challenge that may come as a result of what they would have done. Is there anything that you can say this discussion is arming the regime, or this is things that are clear as daylight that if they attempt to do this, this is what is going to be happening, or this is going to be the understanding, or this is going to be, the defense. Is there anything out there, or that you might say, or is there anything that must be hidden in terms of our discussion of such an issue, like this, to say, good, I am towering issue because changes. Is this something, that can be posed?
Andifunge kuti kuvachenjedza as such, it is just warning them of what is clear. And by the way, whether we hide it or not, the law will not change. You see?
Mhm.
But if we hide some of these things, our people may not get a full understanding of what is at issue. So we as Zimbabweans, we don't have to ambush one another. We have to be upfront. And what we have been saying, Professor Madugu summed it in one of the interviews, that it is an impossibility. I also said something similar, and so on. And we are discussing here. And I know for certain that in this discussion, there are people taking notes to try to ingratiate themselves with the government to say, this is what you are saying. How do we counter that? But what I'm very, very confident with what I'm saying. And that is why I have been referring people to the text of the Constitution, to certain words that are now being put in the Constitution. People are now talking of term limits in the Constitution. That's not what we talk about in the Constitution. We talk of length of the period that a person is holding public office. It must not be 10 years, more than 10 years. So absolutely no reason to ambush one another. In fact, if I get an opportunity to see President Mnangagwa and I'm able to say this to him, I'll say this to his face. I am an opponent of wanted changes to our constitution to suit individuals. That is why we were very, very clear that unfortunately we thought the target at that point in time was Mugabe. And we tried to put something watertight in order to stop Mugabe, we did not know that the people we were with would one day want to be even worse than Mugabe himself on this issue. So we have to be upfront, we have to be honest to one another, we have to disagree, agree to disagree when the time comes. So they are wrong. Their resolution is a party resolution. It is not a national resolution, and it does not bind the nation. It must not bind the nation. When you come to amendment of the Constitution, you must follow what the Constitution itself says. And I know it is possible to just use force, intimidate the judges, and so on. But Zimbabweans must reject this amendment.
Right. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to open up the floor. But what we are going to be doing, with your agreement, Senator Douglas Monzora, we will bring 3 people up. They ask you a question, and then you respond to the 3 questions. Is this something that is okay? I know we've done it before, and I'm just asking you for courtesy. But Chengeta is saying it is okay, it is okay. So we are good on that aspect. But before I open it up, Mofutitis,
Yes.
do you have a question for Senator Monzora right there?
Senator did actually touch on some of the questions that I wanted to ask, and yourself the last question as well. So I had that initiative to say, so if to ask the question in terms of, if we allow this to happen, what's going to stop this from happening, with the next guy, to extend 2 years, 3 years. I think Senator did touch on that. And I think it's a very, very important question. Yeah, and the important point that we should take note to say. Once this is allowed to happen, there's definitely nothing that will stop the next person, the next potential president to do that. You touched on it. And the last point that you did touch as well, when you did the 2013 constitution, Senator, that was very much people driven. And obviously you mentioned about the captured environment that we are in. So I just wanted to ask, I don't know if you really answered that, to say, so beyond the courtroom, right, is there any constitutional remedy that remains for us as the citizens, to defend the constitution? What role can we play in just trying to restore accountability? Because we know that when it goes into the courts, we might not have any power. We don't have anything that we can do as the people. But I heard you mentioning that there's power in the people. So I just wanted to find out that, is there any remedy that is left to us as people if it goes then? If because we know they don't defend, they don't challenge, the premier. So I just wanted to find out from you if there's any remedy that is remained with us.
Go ahead, Senator. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I was just fixing something. All right. Yeah. Vatezvaramo mubvunzo wenyu wakanaka wekuti beyond kungoenda kumacourts pane here zvatingakwanisa kuita sevana vezimbabwe. Hongu pane zvatinokwanisa kuita. Chekutanga ndechekuti tinofanira kubatana as Zimbabweans to speak out against this amendment. And we need to engage in advocacy to educate our people to reject this. So there is need for advocacy, there is need for civic education, there is need for mobilization of the people into one formidable bloc. There is need to mobilize resources, as I said, and to help people who are in the field. For example, I said to you that as a starting point, the MDC and its youth assembly, they will be handing pamphlets to people explaining why people should reject this. And it is important to help print more, or if there are other political parties, we come together, we print these documents, we give our youth to give to the people, engage in door-to-door campaign against what is bad for them. That is very, 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 very critical. Number two, it is also to prepare for the public outreach, because the speaker will have to give the nation 90 days notice, and there will be an outreach involving parliament. And our people must make it clear to the parliamentarians that they do not agree. They only do that if they are sufficiently armed with information. Because there are some people out there who will say, oh, by the way, why is it really a bad idea? Why are we fighting against it? And when you explain to them, then they understand. So it is important to have civic education. It is also very, very important to achieve unity among the political parties. And as we fight this thing, I would call upon members of the bickering opposition to cease fire against each other and de-escalate conflict amongst themselves, and look at the bigger picture here. Let's fight this amendment. So there are a lot of things that we can do besides litigation. Of course, we have to prepare litigation as well, so that we do what is called political triangulation. We are trying all the methods and so on.
All right. Thank you very much, for that. So Mofo, I'm going to add, 3 people, and then I'll give you an opportunity, to do so. We go on, like that. We've got our other co-host here, who is, Chengetai. Mkoma Chengetai. You are a citizen as well. I don't know if you've got any question. I know you are always in close proximity with Senator Douglas Monzora, but you are not a constitutional lawyer here. it's,
All
it's not
questions have
transferred.
been answered. I ask them every day and I get answers. So my only role today is to be the timekeeper here.
Yes,
I've sent a message to inbox. We want people to engage, but we also want to be mindful of the time because
absolutely.
the Senate has a very busy schedule. He also needs to rest. But I do acknowledge that we started late because of some challenges. So I've adjusted the time a bit. You can read your inbox. That's my contribution now.
Okay, thank you very much. I do appreciate. Right, so I'm adding. So guys, the ones that I'm adding, please, we want a question each because we don't want to inundate him with so many questions. Wozotadza kukupindurai kune mamwe ningi questions. Saka, we want a question each pertaining to the conversation or the subject that we are focusing on, today. Any other, we are not going to be accepting that. We are not going to be tolerating that. And if you come here with any other question other than the question to do with what we have discussed here, we will turn the right to remove you, from the role of being a speaker. So right. So I've added, 3 people. Dr. Moses, I will start with you. Please take the mic.
Thank you, Uncle Jed. Thank you, Senator Monzora. I think you have explained this very, very well. I think I got a better understanding of this question from your explanation. Thank you for that. I think you have partly answered my question, but maybe you can just expand. I'm only concerned with the way forward in terms of resistance. There are people within ZANU PF who are opposed to this 2030 agenda, but not maybe for the good of the nation. They are all for their own interests. Do you think the opposition should work with those people who are in ZANU PF who are opposed to the 2030 agenda? Opposition should just work as the opposition without including ZANU PF. And do you see the opposition, as you said, building bridges to fight this 2030, or the opposition may continue to be affected by fissures and fail to unite for this common cause? Thanks, Senator. I think that's my question.
Okay, thank you very much. Child of Zimbabwe, do you want to come in?
Thank you, Uncle Jit. Matundipa limitation, but I did.
Oh yes, yeah, because we need no, we need to focus on the matter at hand.
Oh yes, it is about the Constitution. I just wanted to just get some clarity. It's about the Constitution.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry, Masura say everyone. Masura say it's an honor to have a discussion, an opportunity to ask one of our great minds in Zimbabwe about the Constitution of Zimbabwe. I want to actually take a look at there is a thing that's called the JOC meetings that are done by the government between the military and the government, and it is not within the Constitution. Can we then say that it is an illegal conversion where the military meets with the executive without the requirements or limitations of the state or of the constitution or the laws that we have in Zimbabwe? And please, if you need to come back and just tell us more about that one, because we need to know how our rights are being violated by these institutions and the systems that they're using, so that we can also empower our people on those sectors, on those sections also. Thank you so much. Thank you for an opportunity to ask.
Thank you very much, my sister. I do appreciate. Owen Chadi, do you want to come in?
Yes, Ango Jeza. Hi, Senator Douglas Monzora. My question is constitutionally aligned, but it is speaking to the Monomotapa empire that we are rumored of. How can we be protected by our constitution to subvert the turning of Zimbabwe into a kingdom? If a constitution can allow us to do that, and what sections can we use to protect us as Zimbabweans?
Right. Thank you very much. Senator Monzora, you've gotten all the questions right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So, guys, I'm going to be removing you, and then you listen to the responses that Senator is going to be giving. Right. So, over to you, Senator.
Yeah, let me start with. Let me thank the people who put these questions, but allow me to start with Owen. How can we stop Zimbabwe from being a monarchy? Our constitution is very, very clear that Zimbabwe is a sovereign, unitary republic, and it's a constitutional democracy. And it goes on to say who wields executive power in our country, and that is the executive president, the cabinet that he selects, and other officials. So the constitution as it is safeguards us against the creation of a monarchy. A monarchy means that we are removing term limits. It means that we are extending the term limit of the current of the sitting president, and therefore it falls squarely within the ambit of Section 328, which says if you want to change that, then you have to change it the same way you change the Bill of Rights. That is via referendum. And Zimbabweans must be very jealous of guarding their constitution. So if you allow a small, in bracket, amendment, the next day it will be a bigger one, the third one, a bigger one, and so on. And we gentlemen here know that very, very well. Because we have done it one way or the other, where you start by small requests and then end up with a big one. So this is what will happen if we allow small amendments. Madam, the joke meetings. Unfortunately, the joke meetings have now been abused to plot against civilians, even to plot violence in some instances. 2008 is a case in point. Or to just being used to limit civic freedoms. So someone wants to demonstrate. I remember that very well. Every time we wanted to demonstrate, I would write a letter to the police as the Secretary General of the MDC then. I would be put before a panel of about 27 people from the local JOC. And these people, maybe 2-3 will be speaking, the others will be quiet, and so on. But they then, after you leave, sit in judgment. And that's the unfortunate use of the Joint Operations Command, because then if it is to limit the basic freedoms, it then is abrogating constitutional rights. But if it was to achieve coordination within the executive arm of the country, then it will probably make sense that you want to enforce law and order, you want to make sure that there's coordination, but it has unfortunately been abused over the years. And its activities are not entirely constitutional. But you have asked whether that meeting is a constitutional one. It's difficult where constitutionally provided bodies decide to come together and do their work. It would be very difficult to characterize it as an unconstitutional gathering. Moses, way forward, it is important at this point in time to defend the Constitution. So working together as the opposition is a must, and stopping this segregation among the opposition members by civil society players is a must. We must speak with one voice. There is no difference between what I am saying and what Tendai Piti would say, and what Job Scala would say. Maybe it will be different in wording, but the sense probably is the same. There's no difference between what I want as a political leader and what Ngaru Vume may want. So why divide us? Why not speak with one voice? After all, there is precedent. In 2000, the opposition came together under the banner of the National Constitutional Assembly, and we defeated ZANU-PF in the referendum, in the Chichigausiku referendum for the Chichigausiku draft. We were able to defeat it because we worked together. So it is possible to achieve unity within the opposition. And for our part, as the MDC, we are trying to reach out to members of the opposition to talk about this thing. I've spoken to Professor Badugu. I have spoken to Tendai Biti, Linda Masarira, Amon Maishorewa, and quite a number of political figures, members of parliament. I did talk to a few members of parliament. Vondo is one of them. We met at a funeral, and we talked about this issue and so on. So it is possible. Now, if your enemy is my enemy, what does that make us? I think is the second rung of your question. Are we willing to work with the ZANU-PF people who are opposed to the third term, but for their own reasons? Now, it will be very difficult for us to know the basis of your opposition to the third term unless you explain it to us. Our opposition to the third term is in no way aiding or abetting any group within ZANU-PF. Whatever their political agenda is, we have no brief, we have no dog in the fight in ZANU-PF succession wars. We don't want to be involved in them. They have to deal with their issues on their own. But if a ZANU-PF person comes and says they are opposed to the third term, yes, we will work with them because this is in the national interest. If they say they want to remove their president, then that's their in-house thing. We have no dog in the fight in it. Our opposition to the third term is not aimed at removing anyone from the presidency that they may lawfully hold. It is to prevent them from stealing some more years from us. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, for that. I appreciate it. Muftada Saide, if you can introduce, your lineup.
Right. So the next questions, Senator, will be coming from Mazalankosi, Wavy Ace, and Made in Africa. So if I start with you, Mazalankosi, ask your question, please. Mazalankosi. Right. Okay, guys, if we add you, we expect that you are around. But anyway, can I move to Wavy Ace?
Thanks, Mufela. Uncles, Senator, I hope you're well, and every Zimbabwean here, love, and I hope you're well. My question is, Senator, knowing that there's a fragmentation between within the opposition, is this thing, since you've mentioned that it's of national interest, to stop a violation of the constitution. And since it's of national interest, are you now approaching this as a political party, or you're putting political parties aside and wanting to work with anybody who's opposing the bastardization of our constitution?
All right. Thanks, Wavy, for that question. Can I go to Made in Africa? Right, Made in Africa, are you there? Guys.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, please, can you ask your question?
Yes. So my question to the senator is an assumptive position that maybe he might have some insight on. When we are talking of unity of opposition for the goal of fighting against the constitutional amendment, how much of effect or possible effect would it have when we also look at alleged bot opposition, who are also part of the parliament, who are also part of the Senate, who might affect that 2/3 aspect you alluded to earlier on about the Senate being our hope in stopping the passing of the bill. Would there be possibility for these so-called vote opposition to have an effect? That would be my question.
Right, alleged opposition. Okay, thank you, Made in Africa. And lastly, Charlene, please, you can ask your question to Senate. Charlene? Charlene, are you there? Okay, I think Senator can respond to those for now, if you can.
Oh, thank you very much. The fragmentation of the opposition. Yes, the opposition is fragmented and it is fighting amongst themselves. And sometimes within itself, you get destabilizing elements within a political group. But this issue is a matter of national and even international importance. And it is therefore important to approach it as a grouping of people, of all progressive forces, whether they are political parties, civic organizations, churches, etc., trade unions. As you may know, the ZCTU issued a very strong statement against the third term, the proposed amendment, and the church has spoken, some elements within the church, they've spoken against it. We have also seen various political actors speaking from their various corners. So what normally divides political parties is the issue of leadership, who will lead and so on. But in this particular case, there is no election that is going to take place. There is no Congress coming. It is just fighting for the national cause. And it is therefore incredibly important for progressive forces to come together. So whether you are Triple C Timber, Triple C Mpananzi, Triple C Chabangu, whether you are from the Blue Movement, MDC, NWG, I think, Scholars Organization, and even if you have no political party, you have a role to play in this fundamental fight against the bastardization of our constitution. Made in Africa, yes, the opposition is extremely divided. How much effect will it have if we come together? Yeah, it is a reality in this country that you have some people within the opposition who are actually advocating for the third term. I did come across one or two, and they say we want a third term. And I also saw members within the opposition, within NERA, the National Electoral Reform Agenda. There is someone who is advocating for a kingdom, you know. So there are elements like that. Those elements must not detain progress. So what we do is we deal with those people who are willing to be part of the fight, the righteous fight for the preservation of our constitution. And those people are there. The opposition within parliament needs to be approached. I think it's a mistake to ignore them. We need to approach them and discuss with them and hope to put sense into them to say that this is not good for our country. Even MPs who belong to ZANU PF, we must find ways of getting to them and to say to them that they have a national responsibility first and foremost. So it is incredibly important to approach everyone because, you know, in terms of our constitution, MPs vote with their conscience. There is a provision like that. So we need to appeal to their conscience. We need to approach them. We need to give them written documents which show that this is wrong. They will read them. We need to insist on seeing the speaker, on seeing the president of the Senate, and say this is wrong. We can even meet the Minister of Justice and try to knock sense into him. And it is possible to demand an audience with President Mnangagwa himself to say this is wrong. We must just knock on every door. But importantly, let's close ranks within the opposition and try to persuade one another on the correct way of proceeding. But it will be a mistake if we segregate one another, if we allow ourselves to be divided when we are faced with such an important historic task. It is a pity, ladies and gentlemen, that two of my co-chairs cannot take part in opposing this constitution. It would have been fantastic if they were to take part because they know the spirit of the constitution. So one is Mr. Mukosi. The last time I had, he had serious health problems. I am not so sure what his condition is like. And then we have Mnyaz Mangwana, who may not give his correct opinion, given that he is within the ZANU PF Politburo. But he is very much aware of what the people of Zimbabwe said in outreach regarding the third term. And during our advocacy and our meetings, I'm prepared to share with you the results of the outreach program on the issue of the limited term. And district by district, you will see the percentages of people who said that there must be limited term. It's contained in the national report of COPAC, and for purposes of the book that I'm doing, I had preserved that. So it is also interesting statistics to share that this is what the people of Zimbabwe said during outreach, and we can help one another. If we could raise money for the bulletproof car, I'm sure we can still raise money for the constitution. So we are appealing to you friends within the diaspora to again reach to your pockets and fund this fight.
Right. Okay.
Senator.
Anyway. I know.
Takunzwai, Senator, takunzwai.
I know. I know. Anyway, Mkoma Jiri, do you want to come in?
Yes. Good evening. Good evening, Senator Monzora. Thank you for gracing us today. My question to you, Senator Monzora, for just clarity's sake, how you have touched a lot on the presidential amendment of the Constitution, focusing mainly on the president, and how is this going to affect the councils and the MPs and the senator in the House? So maybe for clarity to get a picture of how this amendment of the Constitution concerning the extension of the presidential term will benefit those in the council and MPs and Senate. Thank you.
Right. Tima Kwekwe, do you want to come in? Tima Kwekwe? Amana, tikakupa mukana kapindurai nokurumidza because hatina nguva. We are finishing this in the next 18 minutes.
Yes.
So please, be jiffy about it. Please, can you ask a question?
Thank you very much, Ngoma Gerard. Mubvunzo wangu uri pane document ranga ichitaurwa namukoma Geras Mawarire all along riya. Ndiri kudawo kunzwa pfungwa dzavamonzora kuti document riri kunzi rakanyorwa naJonathan Moyo riya. Maloopholes ari nawo kana kuti rine zvinokwanisika kuita here zvinogona kuita kuti constitution yedu ikanganiswe kana wakamboriwerengawo that document. Thank you very much.
Right. Okay. Gezani Moyo, do you want to come in? Gezani Moyo?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm kind of busy now. I wanted to come in, but I'm engaged in something else now. Sorry.
All right. Thank you.
I'll come back later if you don't mind.
Thank you. All right. Let me see if I can squeeze one more. Right. Jablani, do you want to ask a question? Jablani?
All right. Kwaziwai. Ndaida kungobvunza hangu Senator kuti zveconstitution hazvina kutanga nhasi kaizvo ichichinjwa. Pane pavakatanga paya imimi Senator panguva iyoyo manga muchiseneta mukaita semunotsigirana neZANU-PF. Nyamba ZANU-PF yaitoonera game racho kare kuti pavanozosvika panhasa imimi pamuchazoda kumhanya kukoti munowana Malaba akakumirirai. Panguva yaMalaba Senator munenge makatsigira 1 paya kuapa zvazoshata papi.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much for that. Over to you, Senator.
Thank you very much. Let me start with how this will affect MPs and councillors. Our constitution says that the term of office of the president shall be coterminous with that of parliament. So what that means is that it shall be for the same period. So the carrot that is being dangled to legislators and councillors is that their terms will equally be increased. So if they are to retain the coterminous clause, that means that the MPs are going to have an end 2 years and an end 2 years, and some of them may find that quite tempting because some of them may not win any election anymore anyway. So the expectation is that the terms of parliament and councillors are also going to be increased if this amendment succeeds. Mr. Makwikwi, the document written by Jonathan Moyo and Glenn Mpane allegedly, because I do not have evidence of their writing this document. It does not really help much because it talks about amending one section, I think section 92, so that you avoid referendum and so on. I say this document does not help because this document, the section 92 does not deal with referendum at all. So if you amend section 92, you are not removing the need for the referendum. Amending section 92 is not the same as amending section 328. Section 328 will remain, and it says that if you want to amend a term limit clause, you have to amend it via referendum, because you have to amend it in the manner that you amend the Bill of Rights, which requires a referendum. So that document is just a unwelcome literature that is being thrown to Zimbabweans. I think it is meant to ingratiate certain people with President Mnangagwa. I don't know what the real interest of Professor Moyo, if he is the one who authored it, would be. Same applies to my brother Glenn. I wouldn't understand what his interest would be, but it's probably an attempt to ingratiate oneself with President Mnangagwa and hope for a favor that may not have been given, or that is expected maybe. Mukoma vataura nezvekuti ndiri kuparliament ndakachidzana nezano tikaamenda constitution. Munonyepa. Munonyepa nokuti ndozvamakagara muchingotaura muchingonyomba. Reason yenyu yanga rekuti tanga tisiri kuwirirana pamafambiro akaita zvinhu kuMDC. Zvadaro manyepo ekuti takanga tiri pamwe chete neZANU PF pakuextenda term yaMalaba makabva mangoramba muinawo. Asi chokwadi ndechokuti zvinhu zvese zvatakataura muparliament musi iwoyo zvakaiswa muHansard. Hansard yacho mukaenda online iripo, inotaura iyo zvakataurwa naSenator anonzi Douglas Monzora. Ndichienda paspecific nyaya yekuextenda term yaMalaba, ndakazviramba muparliament, zvikarekodwa muHansard. Mukaita zvenyu chido chekuziva chokwadi, mukaenda kuHansard ikoko munanyatsa kuona chokwadi. Asi mazuva iwayo kamukoma taita politics dziya dzekusvibisana, kuti uyu ndeweZANU, uyu achidzana neZANU, uyu adini adini. Chokwadi chakubuda kuti anodyidzana neZANU ndiani. Imi ndiri kuramba third term kai, imi muri kuiramba here, and so on. So nyaya iripo ndeyekuti kwanga kuri kungosvibisana. I opposed that amendment, and the voting that was done on that amendment, you will see kuti ndakavhota sei muparliament, nekuti muHansard zvinenge zviripo mufunge mukoma wangu. Ngatibvai patsika yekungonyombana, yekungosvibisana. Iko zvino takatarisana nehondo huru iyi, hondo yekuti constitution yedu yakuchinjwa yakubvisa limited term, takudzokazve pekuti mutungamiri anogona kutonga 38 years, zvatakaona gore riyana Mugabe. Saka tafesana nethat problem. Hatichafaniri kuita politics dzegore rakapera dzekungoswerotukirira munhu ukangosangana naye paTwitter waakutuka. Ngatidzibve mupolitics idzodzo, tiende mupolitics dzekuteererana, chirungu chiya chandaimbotaura chiya kuti rational disputation ndaireva kuti ngatiise masaka pamwe iko zvino imini neni nevamwe nyange kuti takambokonana gore rakapera pamberi takamborwisana paine zvanetsa kupati kwedu ngatizvikanganwe tirwise mhando yapinda mumba ichakuwadza nyika yedu yeZimbabwe ichakuwadza magenerations to come. So ndini ndazvitaura ndini Douglas Monzora munogona kunge mamusingafariri politics dzangu asi apa farirai zvandiri kutaura izvi nekuti zvine remangwana revana veZimbabwe mazviro kwazvo tikaregedza vanhu vachiamenda ava zvinoipira isu tese saka let's unite, let's work together, let's remove this cheap propaganda against one another. We are brothers and sisters in this fight. Let's work together.
Right. That's over to you, ladies and gentlemen. We are coming to the end of the program. These are our final, questions that are coming from the people that have been selected by Morpho. So once Morpho, you've allowed the folks to ask, their questions, I'll then ask you, Senator Douglas, to respond and then give your final words. Toba Tavarani Gichurongwa. I understand good is time yedu ndoyati but we can arrange, for a party two anytime, this week so that we can continue with this conversation. But over to you, Mof.
All right, thank you, Senator. I hope your network will just hold on. Your microphone equita something, but we can hear you. So anyway, the next person to ask, Babaj Bennett.
But hello, good evening, Mr. Gerard, Mr. Titus. How are you, Senator Monzora? Ndine mubvunzo wandoda kuvhunza Senator kuti apana here section iri muconstitution inotibetsera kupanicha vari kushandidzana nevanhu varoda kuchinja constitution, especially kuma MP, because tiri kunotisa kuti ma MP say that they've been threatened because nasi from the sona yanga ichiitwa yazodzima magetsi vatanga kutoimba kuti 2030 ndiye Mnangagwa. So atina here section inotibetsera sevanhu inomirirana naizvozvo kuti vanhu vanopateka muzvinhu zvakadhakwa nekuti vakasumuka.
I can't hear you.
Okay. I can try to.
Maybe.
Can you hear me, Senator? Senator Murundinzwa. Right, Uncle, can you try if he can hear you?
Senator, can you hear me? Wamunzura, can you hear me? Right. I think network yavo is play acting now. Senator Monzora, can you hear me? Right. I think network yavo ndo yaluza. Is it okay if you can right. Chengetai. We are having a problem here. I don't know how we should proceed now because we are on the final leg. Because the only thing that can happen now is for him to come out and then come back. I don't know if it is something that we are able to do now, given that there's only a few minutes before we get to 7:30 or 9:30 your time. Senator, can you hear me? All right.
He's saying he can hear us, so maybe let me just ask him to quickly drop and come back so that he can give the parting remarks and attend to the outstanding questions.
Yeah, no problem. That'll be great. That'll be great. Right. So, guys, unfortunately, our time, is up. The time at Tangata Piwa Navamonzora, it was only 2 hours. But because we suffered, that technical glitch, earlier on, but power in extra, 30 minutes. So this is why, we were able to extend it to this time now. So we just see if we can, get him out and then bring him back. And then we'll see kuti tingaendere mberi. Senator Monzora, I'm removing you, but I'm sending you I'm sending you an invite, immediately now. Please respond to the invite, that I've sent to you. Respond to the invite, Senator Monzora, that I've sent, to you. So, yeah, we are going to see if we can, wrap this up with the final questions coming from Bach Penalty, Arthur, and, Carlson. Unfortunately, guys, when we write a request, I will not be in a position to aid you at this present moment, because at Sinangova we unfortunately run out of time. But I will speak to Mkoma Chengetai and see if we can continue this conversation in another space, because we've seen that it's a conversation that is of interest, and people want to to engage in the substance of this of this issue that we've been talking about. So that is what we are going to be doing. So if I can just give a couple of minutes for Senator Monzora to come back, and just to be thankful of their understanding that we suffered a technical glitch earlier on, and them according us the opportunity to extend the time with another 30 minutes. So that is what we are going to be doing. No, not could we are not extending with another 30 minutes, but we've extended with another 30 minutes. So it is in the final leg of those 30 minutes that we are trying to squeeze everything and then get to a point where we can call it a day, in as far as this conversation is concerned. So I'm waiting for Senator now. But Mofu Titus, in your own opinion, what can you say have been the key takeaways whilst we're waiting for him to come back?
I think it's definitely the unity of people. I think that's what I take, because as we all know, um, the course might not be the answers to this. So I think there's a need for people to come together, in all our different walks of our life, putting differences together, because 2030 thing is real. And like what Raj Bennett was just saying, I think I just saw the video when it seems it appeared most of the people of the whole parliament were singing 2030 in their Amazon. So I think people need to come together, different walks of life, and just to resist this. If the people do that, I think that will be the biggest thing. And it was also good that I think Senator touched on the BBI document, because that document, from the way we have reviewed it and we have looked at it, there are some elements there that we believe can actually be implemented. But I like the from the because from the as a lawyer, as the Munyori where this constitution, I like the way he put it out, and I like the way he dismissed it. So to say that it does not have weight, and some of the elements that they think they can just change or without going to referendum or deeming the parliament, and I think he has dismissed that on a technical level. So yeah, that was good to hear. But I think the biggest takeaway is for that people, at the end of the day, people will need to come together. People will need to resist this, one way or the other, put the differences together. And if people are united, then our voice will be powerful.
Right. Excuse me. Senator is saying that I must send him the invite again, but I'm not seeing him. How far are you seeing him in the? Yeah, I'm not seeing him, so I'm not in a position to be sending him. I've tried, searching, for his name,
No, he's not.
but he's not coming up, with his name. So I'm not sure now. It seems as if we are back to square one where we were.
Is it
Uh,
possible for Chengetai to get him on WhatsApp? Then we just finish it that way.
no, he's here. He's here.
Oh, is
He's
he?
back. Yeah, he's back. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he's back. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, let's see if the connection holds up. All right, let's see if the connection holds. Um, yeah, it's connecting. It's saying it's connecting.
Yeah.
Mm, I think now it's. I think it
Yeah.
is. I think it is the connect. It is the connecting issue now.
Bring back Chengetai.
Okay. Yeah, it's saying that it is connecting. Let me see if I can. All right.
It's been acting for a minute, so
Yeah, let me see if I can do this. Uh, right. Let me. Okay. Let me see if I can do this. Let me see if I can. Mm, let me see if I can. Mm, right. Let me see if I can. Okay. Excuse me. Just give me